Hey guys, welcome back to Walden's World. This is my buddy's gsxr, and his front fairing's actually broke, so every once in a while it rattles the wires loose. I was trying to fix this for him for a while back, and he had to leave town, so we didn't get to finish it, but somebody had stole the bike at one point in time, cut his wires, and I got it running temporarily for him, but obviously you know, we got issues, so we need to solder them up. I've got some solder, shrink wrap, and all that good stuff. We're gonna have to take off this fairing, so we'll see what we can get done on that right quick. I think it's had one of those hydro dips on it. All right, so let's see if I can get that without my shadow. I'm gonna attempt to start working on this ignition, and I guess we could probably do a video on how to check the wiring on this thing. So all right, we can do this with a simple test light, and we'll do how to check ignition on a gsxr 600 and find out why it won't start. This thing's obviously in pieces. So first thing you want to do is make sure you got a good ground, and we'll come over here and check that we have a positive here. This would be a red wire that would go up to your ignition, and this part is your starter relay and has your main power go through it. I believe there should be a fuse on this down there somewhere also. Yep, 30 amp fuse. So if you don't have power going up to your instrument cluster and everything, that could be the culprit. You can take your test light here and check that you have power on both sides. One comes straight from the battery. And if you find your ignition switch, you'll see there's wires going down to here. So you should always have power in this red wire here, because that goes right from your battery. So once you got the red wire, if your ignition switch works, it turns on this orange wire right here. And I'm gonna have to put down the camera to show you that. All right, so I've turned my ignition switch on, and if it's good, you'll have light there. Turned it off, no light. So if you had a bad ignition switch and you didn't get power to your orange, but you had power here, then you probably have a bad ignition switch. Okay, so okay, well, I don't know what this guy's done, but here's the start button. So that's pretty awesome. I mean, it's sending power somewhere, just not the right spot. It's the starter, and what I done is I just hooked this up to a ground, and if your starter button is working correctly, you'll have power up to the switch. This dumps your load 12 volts to your starter solenoid, and then your starter solenoid grounds out. So if you get 12 volts up through your green and yellow wire here, that means all the way up to your button is working. So if the bike don't start, you would either have a bad starter solenoid or maybe a bad starter. So we'll turn this on and show you. And
when we hit the button, that's when your bike would be started. So we tore the wires off on this one and actually had it hooked backwards through the brake system. So this is the actual wire it goes to right here. We're going to pull a pin out and fix this properly. We may just pull this out and hardwire it in there. You really need some new stuff. Alright, so per my diagram on here, I've got my starter hooked back up correctly. This brown actually goes through the clip and supposed to come back to this gray wire, and I'll show you that on the diagram. So on the back side of the gray comes out this orange and blue wire, so we'll hook that up and see what that's for here in a second. And if you look on here, you've got your gray wire and brown wire, so those just go up through the clip and supposedly hook. The wire tie that we had is actually for that junction there. We'll find out what that even goes to. I guess that goes to a horn button. Alright, got some clear shrink wrap down here, and my soldering iron's good and hot. I like to try and warm my wires up first, get it a little bit warm on both sides with a little bit of solder on my soldering iron, and then if everything goes well, you can just drop it and it'll kind of suck it right on up. That'll be good for that. So we'll take our shrink wrap, let it cool for a second. And actually this shrink wrap's clear. If you don't let it cool quick enough when you're putting the shrink wrap over it, it'll shrink up before you get it on there, and then you're kind of done. So have to start over, cut it off. I like to twist these just like you would shaking somebody's hand. One goes one way, the other goes the other way. And as little wire as possible. Lighter works good for this, but I'm not going in to get one. Alright, so we got that. This one's a little bit bigger diameter, so we'll have to use a little bit. Alright, so we got our two main wires hooked up that weren't hooked up. Well, actually three. Got rid of the wire nut. The rest will be on him, on what he wants to fix. But let's see if it starts up. Oh, time out. Alright, got a battery charger hooked up, and got our
wiring done after we checked out our wiring diagram and got that fixed. So let's see if she will start. Now I think he does still have a carburetor issue. Subscribe, hit the notification button. We're gonna put this thing back together. And no, I am not test riding this. There's some things. All right, so I zip tied this up to the front bracket here because that's all busted. So we put some 85-mile-an-hour zip ties on there. So maybe that'll help his wiring not jiggle so much. It's actually a lot more solid. Don't move at all. All his stuff broke for that. He's missing his cap. That's on there. He only had a few of these bolts, so did those. And that's about it. But we got all our stuff. Oh, he's got his fan hot wired. He still needs carburetors done. That's all he wanted me to do, so that's all I'm doing. We'll send this thing on down the road. So
Makes you money.
y'all like us, like, subscribe, and hit the notification button.
It makes you money.
Steven says hi.
It makes you money.
Make $1.
Make more than $1.
Huh? I do all this for free, Steven. It's just for my YouTube
Come
channel.
on now.
Isn't that the best way to do it?
No.
Huh?
No.
It's all for free.
No, makes you $1.
Why do you think they're lined up?
Makes you $1.
The $1.
Yeah.
All right. Like, subscribe, hit the notification button. I get a thumbs up.
Whatever.
What do you mean whatever? I get a thumbs up?
Okay.
You gonna give me one?
Yeah.
When? Tomorrow?
Yay.